Hi there, welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad you're watching this again. I just want to say thank you for watching this. It's another episode of Notes from Sermon, and today I'll continue from where I stopped last time. The last time I was talking about the book of Nehemiah, the rebuilding of the walls of Jerusalem, and I spoke specifically about conviction. Nehemiah knew, he just knew that the time was right. He knew that God had prepared him for a time like that, and he went on to rebuild the world. Today I'm going to be talking about a second pivotal point, which is courage. What is courage? Courage, my understanding, it is never the absence of fear. Okay, it is moving forward despite the fear. Everybody needs courage. There's no dream we want to achieve that doesn't require courage. If it doesn't require courage, then perhaps it is a very small dream. But let's go back to Nehemiah and just talk about some things. I mean, you already know the story. I'd just like to talk about 4 key things that I have also seen and experienced that are enemies of courage. The first one is fear. You're just afraid that, it won't go well. You're just afraid that you would not be able to do it. And the question is why? Why? And like they say, what if you fail? Because you are thinking, fear is making you think, what if I fail? But what if you don't fail? What if you win? Okay, so fear is a big enemy of courage, and I want you to be aware of it so that when you encounter fear, you talk yourself out of it, you speak to the fear, you build your faith instead by the word of God. The second thing is distraction. What are people saying? As you're moving, as you're making progress in your journey, you would find that some people are talking on the left, are talking on the right, and you're stopping to listen to them. You're stopping to pay attention and, getting yourself worked up over what they're saying and what they're not saying, whether it is true or whether it's not true. And in today's world, it could be different things. It could be our jobs, it could be our businesses, it could be the relationship you're trying to nurture, that are stopping us or that are distracting us from what we ought to be focusing on. And I'm not saying these things are not important. They are important, but you should never let them distract you enough to take you away from what your focus should be on. The third thing is complacency. Complacency because you have thought about the work required to be done. You've thought about what it's going to take, the time and the effort it's going to take to make this work. And you're just like, you know what, I'm not going to do this just because you don't want to put in that work. And so you end up accepting less than God's best for you just because you're complacent. That is a major enemy of courage. And of course, the last but not least, is disappointment. Perhaps you've started out on a journey before, you were focused, you were so determined, you were going on to do this thing that God had laid in your heart to do, or, sometimes outrightly instructed you to do, and somehow you got disappointed. You got disappointed because there was a setback, you had doubts, different things could have made you to be disappointed. And so for this reason, that affects your courage. So past disappointments, are an enemy of courage today. So what should you be doing instead? In thinking about what you should be doing instead, I want you to remember Nehemiah. Remember that all the while the walls of Jerusalem were down, they had been broken down for so many years. Nobody was talking about the children of Israel. Nobody was talking. But the moment he got up and said he was going to rebuild, people started talking. So that tells you that the moment, or for as long as you continue to live in dysfunction, you continue to accept the barest minimum, so to speak, I think people are not going to talk. You're not going to attract attention. You're not going to draw attention. Okay? But the moment you decide that you want to move from point A to point B, people are going to start to talk. And I want you to think about Nehemiah. What did he do? He was focused. He went on. He did not think about, or he did not wait to think about what they were saying. Yes, sometimes those things affected him, but what did he do instead? He went back to the drawing board. He went back to God, who was his source, who he knew had sent him. He went back to God. He prayed. He took whatever matters, he took them to God. He re-strategized, the team working with him, whatever things had to change, he changed things, they modified the way they operated. At the time when they started to hear rumors or it seemed like they were going to be attacked, what did they do? The people who were builders became soldiers as well. People were keeping watch, taking turns to keep watch. So in your case, what are you going to do? If you're faced with all these enemies, of course, distraction is going to come. The tendency to be complacent is going to come. People are going to say things that would cause you to want to be disappointed, want to give up. So what do? Go back to the drawing board. Pray, keep praying. Let the word of God continue to be your compass. Let the word of God continue to build your faith up. Okay, don't let any of those things get to you. And just like Nehemiah, in a very short time, that dream was realized. In a very short time, your dream is going to be realized because God is at work in you. All right. And it really, really all depends on how far you're willing to go, how much you're willing to put into it. As long as your hands are on the plow, I assure you, God isn't going to leave you alone. So that's it on courage today. I hope you learned something and I look forward to seeing you again.